It is an honor to come before you, not as a victim, not as a symbol, and not as a relic of the past, but as a Native person speaking for the survival, dignity, and future of our people. We stand in the United States of America, a country that calls itself free, a country that speaks often of liberty, justice, opportunity, and equality. Yet for Native people, the contradiction remains clear. We are told we can be anything we want to be, as long as we do not ask this nation to fully honor who we already are. We are told to participate in the American dream, but too often we are forced to do so inside systems that were never built for Native survival. We are told to assimilate, to adapt, to modernize, to compete, to heal, to succeed, but we are rarely given the same tools, the same infrastructure, the same investment, or the same respect granted to others. This is not ancient history. This is the reality of 2026. For generations, the struggle of Native people has been misunderstood. People speak about poverty, addiction, incarceration, poor health, unemployment, and educational gaps as if these conditions appeared on their own. They did not. These are not failures of Native identity. They are the consequences of broken treaties, forced removal, boarding schools, land loss, cultural suppression, underfunded federal obligations, and policies that repeatedly interrupted Native self-sufficiency whenever Native nations began to rebuild. Our people adjusted after removal. We adjusted after confinement to reservations. We adjusted after land allotment. We adjusted after our economies were broken apart. We adjusted after our children were taken into boarding schools. We adjusted after our languages were punished. We adjusted after federal agencies decided what our governments should look like, how our lands should be managed, how our resources should be used, and how much control we would be allowed to exercise over our own futures. And still, we are here. But survival is not justice. Survival is not equality. Survival is not the same as healing. Today, Native communities are still fighting for the basic conditions every community needs to thrive. We are fighting for healthcare that is fully funded, culturally grounded, and accessible. The Indian Health Service exists because the federal government has a trust responsibility to provide healthcare to American Indian and Alaska Native people. Yet Native healthcare continues to sit at the intersection of federal responsibility, chronic underfunding, and deep health disparities. Recent analysis shows that American Indian and Alaska Native people experience substantial and enduring disparities in health, healthcare access, insurance coverage, diabetes, suicide, youth depression, and life expectancy. We are fighting an addiction crisis that has devastated families and communities. National overdose deaths declined nearly 27% from 2023 to 2024, and that is progress. But the burden has not fallen equally. In recent years, including 2022 and 2023, American Indian and Alaska Native people had the highest age-adjusted drug overdose death rate of any racial or ethnic group measured by the CDC. The CDC also notes that overdose death rates for American Indian and Alaska Native people are likely underestimated because of racial misclassification on death certificates. So when we talk about addiction in Native communities, we cannot speak only about individual choices. We must speak about trauma. We must speak about grief. We must speak about untreated pain. We must speak about the lack of treatment beds, the lack of culturally grounded recovery programs, the lack of transportation, the lack of housing, the lack of mental health care, and the failure to fund Native-led solutions at the level the crisis demands. We are fighting for our children in schools that too often fail to reflect their identity, their history, their languages, and their potential. National education data show that American Indian and Alaska Native public high school students had a 74% adjusted cohort graduation rate in the 2021-22 school year, below the national average of 87%. But when Native students are supported with targeted investment, accountability, and culturally relevant systems, they succeed. The Bureau of Indian Education reported that graduation rates at BIE-funded high schools rose from 51% in 2015 to 79% in 2025. That proves the problem is not Native children. The problem is whether the systems around them are willing to serve them properly. We are fighting for housing. Across Indian country, housing is not simply a market issue. It is a sovereignty issue, a health issue, an education issue, and a public safety issue. Native communities in rural and remote areas face added barriers to affordable housing because of limited employment access, limited infrastructure, and limited development resources. HUD has identified some of the most severe tribal housing needs in regions such as the Northern Plains, Alaska, and the Southwest. In the 2024 National Homelessness Data, people identifying as American Indian or Alaska Native had the lowest sheltered rate among racial groups, meaning Native people experiencing homelessness were more likely to be unsheltered. We are fighting for public safety. Native families continue to face the crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous people. The Bureau of Indian Affairs states plainly that American Indian and Alaska Native people are at disproportionate risk of violence, murder, and going missing. This is not just a statistic. These are daughters, mothers, sons, aunties, sisters, brothers, and children. In Arizona, the death of 14-year-old Emily Pike, a San Carlos Apache teenager, helped drive renewed attention to the crisis and contributed to the creation of a turquoise alert system for missing Indigenous people. We are fighting a justice system that still overrepresents Native people. Native people are incarcerated at rates more than double the national average, and more than 4 times the rate of white people. Native youth are also overrepresented in custody. A 2023 analysis found tribal youth placed at a rate of 199 per 100,000, compared with 52 per 100,000 for white youth. When Native people are overrepresented in jails, prisons, foster care, homelessness, overdose deaths, and missing persons reports, we are not looking at coincidence. We are looking at systems. We are fighting for economic opportunity. American Indians and Alaska Natives continue to rank near the bottom nationally in health, education, and employment, a reality the Government Accountability Office connects to historical, discriminatory policies, insufficient resources, and inefficient federal program delivery. That means Native poverty is not a mystery. It is the predictable result of land loss, resource extraction, limited infrastructure, jurisdictional complexity, and generations of federal control over Native economies. We are fighting for broadband because in 2026, internet access is not a luxury. It is how students complete schoolwork. It is how patients access telehealth. It is how people apply for jobs. It is how businesses grow. It is how communities participate in the modern economy. Yet many Native communities still face major barriers to reliable broadband because of geography, funding gaps, infrastructure challenges, and long-term sustainability concerns. And we are fighting for sovereignty. Not ceremonial sovereignty, not symbolic sovereignty, not sovereignty that exists only when it is convenient for federal or state governments, but real sovereignty, the right to govern, the right to protect our people, the right to educate our children, the right to manage our lands and water, the right to build economies without being treated as wards of the government, the right to practice our traditions without having to defend them in court, the right to heal in ways rooted in our own cultures. This country must understand something. Native people are not opposed to progress. We are opposed to erasure disguised as progress. We are not opposed to partnership. We are opposed to control disguised as partnership. We are not opposed to accountability. We are opposed to systems that hold Native people accountable while refusing to hold government accountable for broken promises. For too long, America has treated Native suffering as background noise. When our communities are poor, it is called unfortunate. When our youth struggle, it is called a social problem. When our people die from overdose, it is called addiction. When our women and children disappear, it is called tragedy. When our lands are taken, polluted, or restricted, it is called development. But when you connect these realities, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. The issue is not that Native people cannot succeed. We have succeeded again and again under conditions designed to make us fail. The issue is that every time Native people rebuild, outside systems find a way to interrupt, regulate, extract, underfund, or control that success. In 2026, the path forward must be different. We need Native-led recovery programs that treat addiction as trauma, not moral failure. We need schools that teach Native children that their identity is a strength, not an obstacle. We need housing that stabilizes families before crisis becomes incarceration, addiction, or homelessness. We need workforce pathways that connect Native people to real careers, not short-term promises. We need broadband, healthcare, transportation, and infrastructure equal to the demands of modern life. We need public safety systems that respond when Native people go missing. We need federal agencies fully staffed and fully accountable to their trust responsibilities, not weakened by workforce reductions and bureaucratic delay. Most of all, we need this country to stop treating Native people as a problem to manage and start recognizing Native nations as partners in building the future. We are not asking America to stop being America. We are asking America to become honest enough to live up to what it claims to be. If this nation believes in freedom, then freedom must include Native sovereignty. If this nation believes in justice, then justice must include treaty obligations. If this nation believes in opportunity, then opportunity must reach reservations, urban Native communities, border towns, rural villages, and every Native child who has been told by circumstance that their future is limited. We are still here. After removal, we are still here. After boarding schools, we are still here. After allotment, we are still here. After termination, relocation, poverty, addiction, incarceration, underfunding, and erasure, we are still here. But we are not here only to survive. We are here to rebuild. We are here to heal. We are here to reclaim language, culture, family, land, identity, education, health, and economic power. We are here to remind this nation that Native people are not the past tense of America. We are the first people of this land, and we are part of its future. The question in 2026 is not whether Native people can endure. We have already proven that. The question is whether America has the courage to finally stand beside us, not above us, not over us, not in control of us, but beside us, in truth, in justice, and in real partnership. Thank you for listening. I am Dr. Johnny Gonzalez Chavez III. Please like and subscribe for future videos.